Wow. Oh my goodness. Season 2, episode 1 of Play With Your Dick, Not Me. Welcome, guys. I'm back, I guess. Your host, Capricorn Clark. Cedie, aka Capricorn Clark. I don't know. I'm kind of rethinking that nickname after watching like the Diddy documentary. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, that's where I got the nickname from because I was listening to the Breakfast Club, and when the trial was going on and they were talking about Capricorn Clark, and I'm like, who's that? And I looked it up and I was like, well, I like her name. It's fire and it works for me because my last name is Clark and I am also Capricorn. So I was like, I'm going to make myself a Capricorn Clark too. But I don't know. Now I'm rethinking it. Like no shade to her or anything, but I'm like, I don't know. But for now it works because it totally fits because my last name is Clark and I am also a Capricorn. So we are in December now. Tomorrow we will be 12 days until Christmas. I didn't have an exact date of when I planned to be back. I wasn't even planning to come back, actually. Like, I just was feeling like I didn't want to do this anymore. I was just kind of struggling and just, do I want to be done with this? Do I want to close this chapter of my life? I mean, this is something that I wanted to do for years, start a podcast. I did it. Let's move on. But I don't know. I just, it keeps coming around, and then I have people asking about it and what's going on and if I'm going to do it anymore and stuff like that. And I don't know. I keep getting kind of like continuous nudges from the universe. Like, you need to keep doing this. Even if nobody's listening, you need to keep doing this. And so, yeah, this time around, I don't even think I want to do it for like notoriety or to be, grow a following or anything. Like, if it happens, it happens. But I think I'm doing this for me now and everybody else who was listening and wanted to continue listening. Because before I really wanted to push it out there and market and advertise on all my social media platforms. I even joined all those those groups on Facebook to like grow your followers. Like you have to follow for a follow and engage for an engage, and you just add a whole bunch of strangers to your Facebook, and I tried doing that, but nothing came from it because it wasn't because the whole reason why I got back on Facebook was to drive people to my podcast, and the connection wasn't there, like, at all. And so I'm like, cool. I built my Facebook following, I now have over, 1.6 followers or whatever, but it's not driving people to my podcast. And this was the whole purpose of that. I mean, it drove some people, but then I just started feeling like, okay, well, I'm focusing on the wrong things. This isn't important, like, my content, my podcast, my words, my message, my truth, whatever, will find the right people, and that's okay if it's just 9 people or 900 or 9,000, but like, I'm focusing on the wrong things. So like, I think I'm back now, and it's for me and everybody else who this has helped, I guess. I don't know if I'm going to be back, if I'm going to, return to like a schedule. Like, I know that in like my little like teaser episode ending last season, I was like, we're going to have, a bunch of awesome things for season 2 and guests and all that stuff and more interviews. And I haven't done one single thing to prepare for any of that shit because I didn't know if I was going to come back or not. So I haven't really had in-depth conversations with people that I wanted to do interviews with. I've just kind of just threw it out there like, I'll have to have you on my podcast, but like never actually planned anything. And like, one person, my good friend Tasha, who I've been wanting to interview forever, she's just phenomenal. I don't even know how we would make that work because she lives in a different state. So we'll see. I would like to make that happen though at some point. Because people have stories to tell and they have knowledge to drop on the rest of us, and how they've navigated their own healing or growth journey, and it's you just don't know who you're going to impact or who's going to be feeling like resonated by your words. So yeah, I also was hesitant to even release this episode because of the topic around it. But again, I'm doing this for me, even if this has to be like some sort of public, diary or whatever. It is what it is. It could still help somebody. I mean, isn't that kind of why we all create content? I mean, a lot of us do it for other people, but so anyways, a little life update for me yesterday. But anyways, first, like how's everybody been? How's everybody been doing? How's life? How's everybody? How's getting ready for the holidays going? I actually have a whole bunch of boxes in my closet that I need to open up so I can start sorting my kids' Christmas gifts. Things have been good. We did a Friendsgiving. Tiger and I hosted a Friendsgiving a couple weeks ago with all our closest friends. It was amazing. It was such a good time. And I, told Tiger a few days later that I kind of had a moment where I just kind of looked around the room at all these people, and I kind of felt like I needed to pat myself on the back because I finally created rooms that I want to be in. I've curated my life exactly how I've always wanted it and dreamed it. And it's being in rooms with people that are good to me and good for me. And I did it, and the Friendsgiving was filled with people that I love very, very much. And they mean the world to me, and people that are good to me, good for me. I had always dreamed of being in rooms where I didn't have to feel like I didn't belong. I didn't have to feel on edge or my anxiety at an all-time high because I didn't feel welcome, or I didn't feel like I belonged, or I didn't feel loved. Coming from my dysfunctional, toxic, extended family that I went no contact with years ago, I never felt like I belonged in rooms with them. I never felt like I was wanted or truly loved or cared about. I left a lot of family functions in tears and my feelings hurt because there were just so many toxic people in those rooms and miserable people that just wanted to bring other people down and make you feel like shit about your life decisions or whatever, and talk shit to you to your face, and and say awful things to you, and then gaslight you about it later, or rug sweep it, or not apologize, or you bring it up to them later and they deny ever saying those things, even again gaslighting, even though they said it to you. And, feeling ganged up on and bullied and scapegoated, and just very alone, very lonely. And, I removed myself from those rooms, from those spaces, permanently, and was able to finally kind of create my own chosen extended family through my close friends. And so, like, I felt like I hit the jackpot because everybody in those rooms in my home for Friendsgiving were people that meant so much to me and have been there for me, and just people that I feel very loved and comfortable around and know that they're there for me. I mean, and not everybody that I love very much could make it. Like my best friend Spencer was missing. He wasn't able to make it, and a few other people. But for the most part, I had everybody in the room who truly cares and loves me. And I did still have anxiety, but I looked at it as good anxiety because hosting gives me lots of anxiety. Because I'm just constantly making sure everybody's okay, everybody feels included, everybody's met everybody's good, comfortable. And so that's the kind of anxiety that I now have in the rooms of people that I bring together. And I consider that productive, good anxiety. because like I'm still very much in a room that I feel comfortable and loved in, and I just want to make sure everybody's okay, and I just want to make sure I'm being a good host, right? But it's nowhere near the same as the kind of anxiety I grew up with being in rooms with my extended family. That was what I would consider bad anxiety because I was on edge. I wanted to go home. I didn't feel comfortable being there. Someone was always hurting my feelings, or I was always leaving crying, or I just, I didn't feel like I could relax and be myself without being bullied or picked on or something, or made to feel like something was wrong with me. And so having good kind of anxiety where I'm just, a little like, cause I'm the host, but like, I always get like that, but then I'm excited to host the next get together, until 5 minutes before everybody shows up. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm freaking out, but it's always a good time. It's always a good time. So, anyways, so yeah, so that was fun. Me and Tiger's, 5-year wedding anniversary was yesterday. We both forgot. It just been like a heavy, busy week. And even though the day before I had remembered, and I was like, when I get up in the morning and I got to tell Tiger happy anniversary, and I still completely spaced it. And it wasn't until I got to work and I was about to start a meeting that I saw the date, and I was like, shoot, oh my God, I didn't tell my husband happy anniversary. And like, he called me and was like, I'm sorry, babe, I forgot. I'm like, it's okay. I forgot too. It's okay. But we were supposed to actually celebrate last weekend. We were going to go to Wendover, and I was all excited, but unfortunately Tiger got forced to work over the weekend, and so I was super bummed. So we're supposed to go to dinner tomorrow night, but I need to stop getting excited about things, I guess. I got to stop telling the universe my plans, because now Tiger may have a stomach flu, and I'm just like, oh man, wake me when December is over. Like December, I have a love-hate relationship with December. Like, it is the month that I was born in. My birthday is December 28th, and I'm already over it. Like, the plans that were originally supposed to unfold for my birthday that we were planning, like, we're not doing them anymore, which is totally fine. I understand. Like, we can try and book all that next year. It's no big deal. But I still get excited about things. And then when plans get changed, I kind of got to rearrange, what I was originally excited about. But it's totally fine. I'm sure we'll do something else. I was just going to do like a joint birthday thing with a really good friend of mine, but we'll have more time to plan it next year. Like, maybe we can do something else. Like, it's not over yet. Like, we're only 12 days into the month. Like, it's okay. But it's okay. No worries. But yeah, just this month is already a very heavy month for me for many reasons. Like, again, with like my family, I went no contact with. Like, even though I stand by my decision and I'm at peace with my decision, holidays, especially December, is always very heavy for me. And if there's any month of the year, where I feel more like an orphan, December is it. Because obviously, in a perfect world, if it was up to me, I wouldn't have to be going without speaking to my own dad or my siblings or whoever. But because this isn't a perfect world, and I need to protect my peace and my emotional and mental health, it is what it is. But irregardless of being at peace with my decision, I still had to suffer a huge loss. I still had to remove a bunch of people from my life. And so there are still times throughout the year where things feel heavy, especially around holidays. I think the last time I really broke down and cried and was upset about the reality of all this was 4th of July and now Christmas. So like, yesterday I woke up and just had an extremely heavy feeling weighing on me. I was just feeling really down. I couldn't shake it. And then I had therapy. And then I unpacked some of that stuff in therapy. And then I felt even heavier after leaving therapy. And just, I came home and I just couldn't hold all that emotional heaviness in anymore. And Tiger could tell there was something wrong with me, and he came over and wrapped his arms around me, and I just started crying. And, I went out in the garage and, had my, smoke drinking session, listened to music, cried it out, came back inside, cried some more. Tiger held me while I cried and vented, my pain to him. He held me while I cried myself to sleep, and we went to bed, and I woke up this morning feeling tons lighter and a lot better. Like I just needed to release, like I've needed to do for the past 2 years. And I'm good. Like I even had like a weak moment last night, and I told Tiger maybe I should just reach out to my dad. And Tiger was like, babe, I don't think that's a good idea. And I'm like, you're right. It's not. And I woke up this morning and was reaffirmed with my decision. Like, I will never tell anybody that going no contact is easy, because it's not. It's not. But I would also never tell somebody, knock it off, just make up, that's your dad, that's your mom, that you only, that's your sister. Like, that's manipulative. Everybody has a different family situation. You don't know what it's like to walk in someone else's shoes. So nobody should be telling anybody what they should be doing about their own family. Like, toxic is toxic. It doesn't matter if it's your dad, your mom, your sister, your brother, your aunt, your uncle, your grandma and grandpa. It doesn't matter. Toxic is toxic, and you should not have to put up with being treated like shit just because they're family. And so, but I will never say that this has been a walk in the park, that this has never been easy. I'm good most of the year. It's just sometimes on holidays I start to, I do get a little sad. But I continue to be, firm in my decision. And it usually doesn't take much to validate my decision. Like, I just have to think of something awful they did to me or my kids or something, or how disrespectful they were to my husband. And then I'm like, yep, reaffirmed. This is why I don't speak to them, But yeah, around the holidays, it's there's definitely some emotional heaviness that comes up, and I get through it, and I get past it, and I'm good. I may be a little sad on Christmas after my kids open their presents, and then the rest of the day is just, there's nothing planned. I tend to get a little sad. Because I'm used to like a day-long festivities when it comes to Christmas, and it's just not like that anymore now that it's just me, my kids, and my husband. But like, that's okay. Like, we can make our own traditions. Like, this year we did something totally different, and for Thanksgiving we didn't do anything with family. Like, usually we will get together with like Tiger's family, and we didn't. Like, Tiger was so burnt out from Friendsgiving that on Thanksgiving we did our own thing, and that was the first time we've ever done that. So it was just us and our kids, and it was a chill, nice day. Like, it was nice not having to rush to get to somebody's house. Like, we basically started cooking whenever we felt like it, and we went non-traditional. We made street tacos. I mean, I wanted some Thanksgiving food, but we did street tacos, and it was nice. Like, it was nice. And we watched movies with our girls, but yeah, it was a good day. And Christmas will be fine too, but this month is still just a heavy month for me. Like, my mom that passed away when I was 14, she always knew how to bring the magic for holidays. Like, she would go above and beyond. And so Christmas is hard because she brought the most magic during Christmas time. And so I miss her a lot around this time of year. And then, like, my birthday is 3 days after Christmas. And my mom was that person that would always make sure she called me first. She would wake me up first thing in the morning and sing me happy birthday. And even though she's been gone since I was like 14 years old, like, that loss is still very much felt. That grief is still there. And so it still gets to me every year on my birthday that I don't get to listen. I don't get to hear my mom sing to me. My aunt her younger sister did try to take up the mantle and do that for a few years, but I couldn't handle it because my aunt sounds just like my mom. So her calling me early in the morning to sing to me, I would just lose it. Like I couldn't do it. Like I would just burst into tears, and they weren't happy tears. Like they were very sad, painful tears. Not that I didn't appreciate my aunt doing that and trying to fill that void, but like the best way I can explain it is, so like a couple months ago, Robin Williams' daughter came out with a statement, and she said, "Stop sending me and my family AI videos of my dad. It is creepy, it's uncomfortable, it's not comforting to us whatsoever. Like, please stop doing it." And that totally resonates with me because like everybody feels differently about this, because like my best friend Kobe that passed away years ago, his brother Rob just made an AI video for his birthday this year of pictures of Kobe, and it was sweet. Like I cried when I watched it, but it was still also sweet to kind of see him come alive in these pictures, but it was still like strange. So it resonated for me hearing Robin Williams' daughter say that, and that's the best way I can describe it. Is not that I didn't appreciate my aunt doing that for me. I did, but it was not comforting like I thought it was going to be. It was like, you sound like my mom, but you're not my mom. And it brought more pain than it did comfort. And so I just kind of asked her, can you please stop calling and singing to me? Like, of course, call me and say happy birthday, but I can't have you sing to me anymore. Like I can't, like, it's too much. Like, it hurts instead of bringing comfort, but I do appreciate you doing that. And, everybody grieves differently. Everybody feels differently when it comes to loss. And I thought it would be okay the first time my aunt offered to do that, but then I didn't handle it well. So yeah, so December is just a hard month for me. I love Christmas. It's my favorite holiday. I love just the joy and the happiness and the excitement around the holidays and my kids being so excited. I love getting our cute little elf Sparkle out and doing fun stuff with her. Like I love everything about Christmas, and my mom is the reason why I love Christmas so much. So it's a bittersweet thing, December for me. But I'm feeling a lot better today. But what I want to talk about, the topic I want to talk about today was chasing wounds in the form of other people. And then I kind of wanted to talk about my stupid OCD brain a little bit. So last season, I would kind of hint a little bit in almost every episode. I didn't really want to talk about it. I did go into it a lot more in my last episode. What was it? The last episode of season 1, episode 23. I did kind of talk a little bit more about it. Just the soul tie that I felt like, or I believed that I had to a former friend of mine. And a lot has changed. A lot has happened for me since doing that episode. I've had a lot of, I guess, epiphanies or moments. Like I had a big moment of finally waking the hell up, I guess, and snapping out of whatever this has been the past couple years and kind of realizing what exactly this all was. And the biggest wake-up call for me was being diagnosed with fibromyalgia a few weeks ago. I started experiencing a lot of pain in my arms. Like I've kind of always had this weird pain in my arms over the years, but it was very mild, extremely mild. It wasn't something bothersome enough to need doctor's attention or anything. It was just like a random pain that I would just sometimes feel in my arms. And then recently, over the past couple years, it became a little bit more noticeable. Like, it would kind of feel like my arm just felt like it popped out of place sometimes, and it would just be like this annoying feeling. And I felt like I would have to like swing my arm around to like kind of fix it. But it like, I've never broken bones. I've only ever sprained my ankle. And so it kind of felt like more like annoying nerve pain, but it still wasn't enough for me to do anything about it. And over like the past year, it's gotten increasingly worse to the point where I've really started to notice it, but still wasn't doing anything about it. Well, within the past couple months, it became unbearable. I'd wake up in the morning and I couldn't move my arms. Simple things such as driving, holding Tiger's hand while he's driving, sitting at my desk, trying to bend my arm, trying to reach for something. Simple things just brought me tons of pain. And I didn't know if this was like nerve damage or a pinched nerve, but it became very, very painful, and tasks became difficult, and I was just in a lot of pain. And I just couldn't ignore it anymore, and I needed to see a doctor. So I canceled my first appointment, and then the second one that really made me go in was the pain was so bad this one week, a few weeks ago, and it alternates between my left and right arm, and it's not just like my upper arm, it affects my entire arm, and I am just in so much pain. So I woke up one morning and the pain had been bothering me all week. I actually think it might have been the day after Friendsgiving, and I woke up and my arm, you kind of get a little stiff when you're asleep. My arm was in a weird position, but I knew that I was going to have to move it. And I've had to kind of learn to move my arm in weird, slow ways to get it to where I want to go without causing much pain. Well, this morning, I really needed to move my arm. I needed to get it to do what I needed it to do. And I think I was trying to like push it downward, and my arm felt like it was hard, like as hard as like wood or brick or something. And so I had to get my arm to move, and it hurt so bad that I just started screaming so loud, and I woke Tiger up, and I'm screaming and I'm sobbing, and it hurt so much. I couldn't even get out of bed because I was in so much pain. I ended up missing work that day to go to the doctors and then get my arms scanned, MRI or whatever, CAT scan, whatever. And my doctor was telling me, I believe that this is one or two things, either fibromyalgia or this other thing. I can't remember what he called it. And he's like, due to the extreme grief and emotional pain that you've been dealing with these past 2 years, I'm afraid that either one of these conditions are like like your emotional pain has now like started to affect you physically, basically. Like, due to your grief that you've been dealing with, it is now showing up physically in your body. And I was just like, what the fuck? And so, he took some blood work. I got the scans done. He reached out to me like a few days later and was like, well, it's not the one thing I was thinking that it was. And so he prescribed me medication for fibromyalgia. And he's like, the nice thing about the medication is that it'll also improve your mood. But still, the fibromyalgia can also be caused due to trauma, emotional stress, pain, that kind of thing. Like, that can be one of the causes. Or like feeling like you're in survival mode or something. And just it can be caused by emotional pain as well. And so that was really the huge wake-up call for me, was I have been in so much emotional and mental pain the past 2 years that it is now affecting me physically, and I am now stuck with this condition for the rest of my life. It took a while for the medicine to start working. He also put me on 2 different kinds of pain pills. And like, I still get the arm pain every so often, but it's not as bad now that I'm on the medication. But that was a huge wake-up call for me. The other wake-up call was I paid an embarrassingly amount of money to have a very intense, in-depth 5-part reading done on myself by this soul guide, psychic, I don't know what you want to call her. She had been very spot on the last time I had her do a reading for me, and she likes to break down like timeline windows of when something's going to happen, and the timeline windows were accurate. And so I was like, well, if I'm going to spend an embarrassing amount of money to get an intense reading, I'm going to go to her. So I wanted an intense reading to know why I've been feeling this way for the past 2 years, why I've been grieving, why I feel like this former friend of mine has been haunting me, and wanting to know more about this soul tie that I believed that we shared and everything, and all the things that this person has been a catalyst for since coming into my life and then exiting my life, and all the weird spiritual shit that started happening to me after he came into my life and then exited and everything, and just needing an in-depth reading. She gave me a lot of information to consider, like a lot. Some of it was very shocking, and I was really sad and had to sit with it for a few days and cry. She went very in depth of me and this person knowing each other and being something to each other in at least 3 lifetimes, like, and just the things that he remembers and the things that I remember, and how we're connected, and why things happened the way they did, and why we're no longer in each other's lives. And it was very in depth. And she gave timeline windows and all that stuff of like when to try to reach out or reconcile or whatever. And so that was another wake-up call, but I went the complete other way with it. Instead of choosing to believe everything that she said and take it as word, I was like, bullshit. Bull fucking shit. Like, I don't believe any of this anymore. I don't subscribe to any of this shit. I don't believe that we have soul ties to people in this way. I don't think me and this person have known each other or been together or been something to one another in 3 past lifetimes. Nothing like that. I've never known him in a past life. He's never known me. We've never been nothing to each other. If anything, he was just a mirror that came into my life and held up all the wounds reflected all my wounds back at me that I needed to heal. And then his time in my life ended and he exited, and I just didn't handle it very well because I thought that he was going to be somebody that remained in my life always. I thought we were always going to be best friends. I thought, his family and my family were always going to be interconnected, and our kids would be close, and I would be good friends with his spouse, and he'd be good friends with my spouse. And I just did a Friendsgiving. In my mind, him and his wife and his kids should have been people in that room. They should have been people taking up seats in that room like all my other friends. And that's how I just thought that we were always going to be. I thought he was always going to be in my life, and his loved ones were always going to be in my life. And I thought he was going to be like all my other best friends. And he wasn't. He just abruptly left my life one day. No explanation, no argument, no fight. And I didn't handle it well. But I do not believe anymore that there was ever any soul tie to him whatsoever. I don't at all. Like, he was definitely a lesson. Absolutely. Definitely a lesson, because him exiting pushed me to go inward and work on myself and heal a lot of my childhood trauma and a lot of my wounds. And I think that was the only purpose that he was supposed to be in my life for the moment time that he was in my life, was to simply be a mirror. That I will say I do still believe. I do still believe that there are people that come into our life to show us things that we need to heal from or we need to work on, and then they leave. Like, they serve their mission and they left their life. Whether he was a karmic, whatever. I do believe that there are people that come into your life to simply teach you a lesson. And he definitely activated an abandonment wound for me when he abruptly left. But I don't think that my grief for the past 2 years was solely because of him. I used to believe it was, but I no longer do. I now wholeheartedly believe that I was chasing a father wound through him. And maybe I've touched on this before, I don't remember, but I 100% believe that I was chasing a father wound through my former friend. He reminded me a little bit of my dad, but more so, he embodied the dad that I wish I could have had, because I was very enamored and admired the way he talked about his children and how he showed up for everything that involved his kids. And he was a very involved, loving dad. And him and I had a lot of discussions about our own fathers and our abandonment wounds with our dads and stuff like that. And he had just promised himself that when he had kids, he was going to show up for every single little thing that his kids did, because his dad didn't do that for him. And I shared with him how my dad never cared about my dance recitals, but he cared very much about my sister's softball games. And so I tend to very much admire men, whether it's like MGK. Like, that's one of the reasons why I love MGK so much. He's an awesome ass dad, and I admire how much he loves his daughters. I think I'm naturally drawn to people being good ass fucking parents, I think. And so he, I guess, embodied for me the dad I always wanted. And I also believe that I was chasing a father wound through him, because he actually looked a lot like my dad. Like, not the same color hair, but he would make a lot of the same face expressions as my dad. And it wasn't something that I was consciously aware of when we were in each other's everyday life. But as I've taken the last 2 years to reflect and try to figure out why him, why did I take it so hard when he exited my life, when I've had people exit my life all the time. I've lost friends. I've had friendships end. I've had people walk out of my life abruptly. Why am I taking this so hard? Especially since other friendships of mine had ended around the same time and I was unfazed by it completely. And so I full-heartedly believe that through this person, I was chasing an unhealed father wound. And that's why, and he kind of was kind of a catalyst and a lesson and a mirror all wrapped in one for me to go inward and heal my shit. But I also came to finally realize that he was also a very shitty person. Like, in the end, he was not a good person. In the end, he was not a good friend. He was not truly my friend, and was really a piece of shit person. Somebody who had no issues with taking my money, but would continue to not speak to me and continue to block me on everything and not have an adult conversation as to why he abruptly left my life. And so I finally had to reconcile and come to terms with, I've been putting a person on a pedestal for the past few years who actually was not a good person and was not authentic and was actually a really shitty person and probably a narcissist and somebody that used people to his advantage. And then when he's done with you, he throws you away. He just discards you like you're trash. And so coming to terms with that truth also helped me snap out of it as well and realize he was never a friend. He's not somebody that should be ever invited to the kickback, ever invited to a Friendsgiving. He is not worthy of basking in my light or being amongst all the people that love and care about me, ever. And as much as I wanted him to be a part of those rooms, as much as I wanted him to take up space and be occupying one of those chairs amongst all the people that love and care about me, because building connection and having chosen family it is very important to my little orphan heart. Like, I need to make connections. I need to love and take care of people and feel loved, because I can feel very lonely. I think it's more my inner child that feels very lonely, not so much me. But and this is the other thing. This person came into my life at a very vulnerable time. I almost feel like it could have been anybody, and I would have attached myself to them at that time, but it just so happened to be that person. But he came into my life in a very vulnerable time. I had just recently gone no contact with my whole family. Even though I didn't want to acknowledge and process that loss or look at it as a loss, it was still a loss. And so when he came into my life, I was like, you know what? It's okay. I removed a bunch of people. There's a bunch of empty seats, but it's okay. I'm going to refill them. I'm going to curate, and I'm going to make my own chosen family. And I started pulling and grabbing and quickly making connections with people and planning on taking those people and filling them in all those empty seats. So I didn't have to fill that loss, fill that void of all those people that I removed from my life, being my toxic family. Even if it was for good reason to remove them, it was still a loss. It was still a loss whether I wanted to acknowledge it or not, and it was still a huge loss to all the different phases of my inner child. So this person got caught up in that when I was handpicking people to be my new family. Some people did stay. I met Chelsea around that time, and you guys know Chelsea. She was in like my 11/11 episode. She came into my life around that time, and she stayed. She let me adopt her. She let me make her a chosen family member. But one thing that I had to learn is that you can't make people fit where they don't want to. You know, just because I was needing to feel loved and needing to have connection and take care of people and love people and fill voids doesn't mean that people wanted to be, you know, loved by me or love me back or be a placeholder for me. That's not a reflection of me, though. Like, there's nothing wrong with my heart. That's something wrong with them. That's something broken in them. And I want everybody to understand that. When people are refusing to reciprocate the love and care and compassion that you're trying to give them, and they're refusing to reciprocate, or they're hurting you or using you or ghosting you, blocking you, making you completely lose yourself, making you feel like there's something wrong with you and it's deeply hurting you and it's so bad that you may lose your own spark chasing after these people, there is nothing wrong with your heart. Their inability to love you or show up for you or be there for you in the ways that you're trying to be for them, that's something broken in them. And you may be holding up a mirror to them and they just can't take it. But that is not on you. That's not reflective of your character or that there's something wrong with you. So I need everyone to understand that for those of you with the big, beautiful hearts that just want to take care of everybody and have connections and love and care about people, don't ever be ashamed of your heart and don't ever think that there's something wrong with you, because there's not. And so, yeah, like, he came into my life at a very vulnerable time, and I just very much needed connection with people. And because I think I didn't want to confront, I think I was starting to grieve the absence of my toxic family members, but I hadn't identified that that's what I was doing. And then this person came into my life and they were a distraction from having to feel that grief, a distraction from having to process that huge loss. And then they abruptly left my life, activating abandonment wounds that I was already ignoring. And then it forced me to have to face all that stuff. And then different forms of my inner child started coming forward, and that had never happened before. And they're crying, and they're needing to understand why they were treated the way they were treated growing up. And I would just be on the floor in my room bawling, trying to understand what the hell was happening to me. I completely lost myself for 2 years. I completely lost my spark and all sense of who I was. I became extremely suicidal, and just this person completely ruined my life and turned it upside down and hurt me a lot. And I thought I was never going to be okay again. But one thing, there were some good things that came out of this. I reestablished my relationship with God, because I had walked away from the divine years earlier. And for whatever reason, this person exiting my life was some sort of catalyst for me to, I wouldn't say reunite, because I felt like I was meeting the divine, meeting spirit for the first time in the most authentic way ever. And it wasn't in a way that was forced down my throat, that was forced upon me as a child, that came out of a book, such as the Bible. It didn't feel through organized religion. It felt like the most organic, most authentic way that I could ever come to know the divine. And it was, beautiful. And I started becoming, spiritual and gravitating towards spirituality. And I'd never been into it before, didn't really understand it, And so I would say that was one thing that came out of it. Even though healing fucking sucks, that was something positive that came out of it. Finally getting to the other side of it all and realizing that this person never really took anything from me. I was still here all along. I just needed to find myself again. I needed to find my spark again, and I found her, and I found myself. And it reminded me that I am whole and abundant all on my own. Like, I want for nothing. My life is full. I am living the exact life that I've always wanted for me. I have everybody in my life that I want and need. I have these beautiful, amazing people that surround me with love every day. I have an amazing fucking husband. I have amazing, healthy, beautiful, amazing 3 kids. And I was just like, I lack nothing. Like this person took nothing from me. Nothing. At the time, I felt like they took my soul. They took my sanity. They took my light. They drained all the color from me. I felt gray. But they didn't. I just had to find me again. And I remember I was just in the darkest place I've ever been in my life. And I never thought I would ever be okay again. I thought, I'm just going to be stuck like this for the rest of my life. I'm just going to be miserable for the rest of my life. And I'm going to keep living in these 2-week increments where I feel like I'm fine. And then the emotional wave, the heaviness of the grief hits me, and I'm drowning, and I'm on my floor in my bedroom sobbing for hours, or I'm in my shower sobbing for hours. And then I release, and then for 2 weeks I'm quote unquote fine again, and then it happens again and repeat, and I thought I was going to be stuck like that for the rest of my life, and that I was just going to be miserable. But since having these wake up calls and realizing, no, I never had a soul tie to this person. I never knew this person in past lives. This person was merely a lesson for me and nothing else. It reminded me of my worth and that I am a big damn deal. And it definitely made me more guarded, more than I already was. But I'm still me. And I'm not ashamed of my heart. I'm not ashamed of how I show up for people, love and care about people. And I want to make friendships and make connections and care about people, take care of people, make them feel special. Like, I'm not ashamed that that's a quality of mine. And, but it helped me remember who I am and all the blessings that I have in my life. But I need people to understand this, because maybe not everybody has ever gone through this, chasing wounds in the form of people. Like, I didn't know what was happening or what was going on, because I've never been through this before. I've never, met somebody that embodied a wound of mine, and then I chased after it, when it abruptly left my life. So, I mean, this is something that I'm still researching and trying to figure out, because I never want something like this to ever happen again. I never want somebody to enter my life and then hold up a mirror to me on everything that I need to heal and fix and confront and process, and then that person pretend to care about me and then just abruptly leave my life, and then I spend the next couple years chasing after them. Like, this person embodied my father wound. I don't need somebody coming into my life and embodying my mother wound, and then I have a hard time when they leave. You know what I mean? And so I'm wanting to be more aware and more guarded than I was before, because I'm already a naturally guarded person, because I don't ever want anybody to get this close to me again and then hurt me in this way. Yeah, that's what I really believe it really was. And another thing, I don't think that all this grief was just for this person. And I'll tell you why. Because last night, when I was crying for hours, and I was crying very hard, and I was thinking a lot about my mom and her life and when she was alive, and how I'm seeing a lot of her personality and characteristics in myself. Things about her that I didn't even think I paid much attention to as a child. And now these are parts of my own personality. My mom was a very loving, giving person, give you the shirt off of her back. She also very much wanted to create connections and love people and take care of people. And being an adult woman, mother now, so much of who she was resonates even more with me, and I understand so much more than I did before. And I definitely have more grace for her and more forgiveness for her than I ever could for my dad. Like, I can't, not that I don't forgive him. I forgive him for me so I can move on. But I don't think I could ever have the same amount of grace, because if my mom was still alive today, I know that she would be accountable for the times that she hurt me in my childhood. I know that she would apologize. I know that she would take accountability, because when she was alive, she was really trying. She was really trying. I never felt like my dad was trying. I never felt like he was trying to not traumatize us and trying to break generational curses and do better. I never felt like he ever took accountability, and he certainly never apologized for anything. So I have a harder time having grace for him. But anyways, my mom, she lost her parents when she was very young. So she was raised by an older sister, from what little I know, was not very kind to my mom. And I'm assuming that's where a lot of her trauma came from, including losing her mom and dad. And when she married my dad, she was not accepted by my dad's family. My grandma was a devout Catholic, and she kind of turned her nose up at my mom because my mom was not Catholic. And my mom tried to do everything to be accepted by my grandma and to appease her. My mom tried to convert to Catholic, but because my grandma was very, like, had her connections in our town's Catholic church, she made it so my mom couldn't be baptized. And that really hurt my mom. But she still continued to try to be a good wife and good mother and just did her best to try to be accepted by my dad's family. But they just continued to be cruel and mean to her and her son. And so I look back on that now, like that had to have been extremely lonely for my mom. She didn't have family of her own. Her older sister that raised her was never kind to her. She had her younger sister, my aunt, who would sing to me, but, you know, that was it. And then she has her in-laws who don't like her or accept her. And so looking at that as an almost 38-year-old woman and mom who also does not have her own family, her own extended family, it resonates. That had to have been extremely lonely for my mom. And so she kind of was trying to create and curate her own chosen family when we were kids. Not that my dad and us weren't enough, but I still think that she felt like there were voids. I still think she felt like something was missing and she didn't quite feel whole. And I can also resonate with that feeling. My mom loved to host. She loved to throw elaborate block parties for 4th of July, Christmas party, Easter, Halloween. Like she needed to be friends with everybody on the street. She needed to bring people together and curate these rooms where she felt like it was family. And she got hurt by a lot of people, and she was very trusting. And I watched her countless times bring in homeless people and try to take care of them and give them a place to stay and food, and wake up the next morning and money was missing, or, you know, they hurt her or something. And I would watch my mom cry and vow and swear that she was never going to be a nice person again and never help people again. And then a few days later, after she cried and wiped her tears, she was back out the door trying to help more people. And I recognize the same qualities in myself. And then I have a husband who is very much a protector of my heart, who will try to warn me, babe, you need to be careful with that person. I know you like them and you consider them your friend and you're trying to take care of them, or you're trying to help them, or they're currently going through a rough time and you're buying them groceries or doing this or doing that, but I don't trust them. I need you to be careful. And I would always just be dismissive and be like, oh, you don't know them. You met them one time or whatever. And then sure enough, a few months later, I would go to Tiger and be like, you were right. That person hurt me. I would cry about it. He'd wrap his arms around me and love me back to me. And, you know, he never made me feel bad. He never was like, I told you so. He just held his arms out, and I ran into him and he just held me and let me cry and be hurt that I loved and cared about these people and they hurt me. And then sure enough, I would be back out the door a few days later trying to make more connections and love more people and take care of more people. And Tiger, again, would try to warn me, but also let me kind of figure it out for myself. And so, again, these were qualities in my mom that I never thought I paid that much attention to. But then I kind of took on the same personality traits. And so, yeah, I've been hurt a lot by people that I thought truly cared about me. And then I cry about it and I run back out and want to find more people to love and take care of. And I also have become that person that wants to host and bring everybody together so I don't feel lonely. And for me, it's not that my husband's not enough. It's not that my kids are not enough. It's not that the close friends that I have in my life are not enough. For whatever reason, I tend to need quantity when all I really need is quality. And I think it's because, just like my mom, there's also something broken and lonely in me. And I feel like I'm not whole unless I'm in a room full of people that I get to take care of and love and hope that they love me back. And I feel like I need to continue to uh, fill spaces so I don't have to feel the loss and feel the grief of that loss. And so one thing, part of this wake up call that I learned was I have everybody I want and need in my life. I lack nothing. My life is full. I am loved. I'm appreciated. I created the life and the rooms that I've always wanted to be a part of. And I don't need to go out into the world, even though it's innately a part of who I am. I don't need to go out in the world and grab a whole bunch of people and bring them in and love them and hope that they love me back. Who I have in my life is just enough, and that's all I need, you know? But I do believe that all the grief that have been processing and releasing and dealing with these past 2 years have not just been designated to this former friend, so-called friend, fake friend. I think I've also, by this person exiting my life, I also needed to confront the grief that I had been pushing aside, pushing away, that I didn't want to feel over losing all those family members that I chose to go no contact with. Even though I don't regret my decision, even though I'm at peace at my decision, it's still a loss. Because who wants to not have family to talk to? Who wants to not be able to have a good relationship with their parents and have parents that make them feel safe and have siblings that make them feel safe and not be on edge or having anxiety when you have to call your parent or a family member calls you, or having to talk to your sibling? Like, you know, who wants to have to tell people that they're no contact with their family? Nobody, at the end of the day, nobody wants that. Everybody, from their inner child to who they are as an adult, everybody wants to belong. Everybody wants to be a part of a family unit. Nobody wants to have to not be able to speak to their family to protect their peace and their mental and emotional health. But the reality is that some families are just toxic, and it's just better to not have a relationship with them. Maybe you've tried 1,000 times and you've tried to talk to them. You've tried to get them to take accountability. You've tried to get them to apologize, and they just refuse, and they continue to gaslight you and make you feel like shit. But at the end of the day, nobody wants to not have a relationship with their dad or their mom or their sister or their brother. At the end of the day, deep down, everybody wants to be able to have a healthy, positive, loving relationship with their families. But it's not the reality. So it's still a loss that you have to process. It's still a loss you have to grieve irregardless, even if you're very much at peace with your decision, you know? And so I think that I've especially with last night and how hard and painful my crying was, thinking about my mom and how lonely she must have been, and also just being sad that it's the holidays and I don't have family to talk to. I think that was also my grief the past 2 years as well. But for whatever reason, I was refusing to acknowledge that and accept it. And I instead tied it all to this former friend, when really they were just the mirror to what I needed to actually confront and face, process, and release and heal from, which was the loss of all those family members. But anyways, I think I've covered it and made my point. It doesn't matter how many years go by. I'm at peace. I'm never going to want to talk to my family members, my extended family members. Like, I'm good. And just like with them, it doesn't matter to me how many years go by. I'm never going to want to talk to this former friend again either. If anything, not only were they a mirror or a catalyst, they also very much embodied and reminded me of my family. This person ended up treating me just like my family would treat me. So if I don't want my family back in my life, I absolutely do not want this person back in my life. I don't care what they have to say. I would not accept their apology or their excuse or reasoning, or like, no. I don't want anybody in my life that I've had to heal from. And that goes for family, former friends. If I've had to heal from you, you don't get a seat at my table. You don't get to be in my life. End of story. So anyways, I also think that my OCD brain, and I'll talk about this more in another episode because this has already been way too long. I also think my OCD brain also hijacked my brain and made me believe that I had a soul tie to this person. Made me believe, all these weird spiritual phenomena that were happening to me, that they had something to do with this person, or they were triggered by this person, or whatever. Like, I really think, because why it felt like this person was haunting me is because they were literally involved in every thought that I had, even if they were sitting in the back of my mind like a constant hum. They never left my brain. It didn't matter what I was thinking about. I could have a few hours being distracted with work, but as soon as I wasn't, this person would pop back up in my head. They were in my dreams every single night. It felt like I could feel them and their energy everywhere. And so that's what I mean about being haunted. But what I think is my OCD brain, because I do suffer from OCD. Again, I will talk about this more, and postpartum OCD and how it affected me after I had Samara. I'll talk about this in another episode. But your OCD brain, when you have a thought and you have an extreme reaction to it, whether it's like upset or disgust or scared or angry or whatever, your brain will hone in on that reaction to that thought or to that picture in your head and be like, oh, this bothers you? Okay, I'm going to let it play on a loop and drive you crazy. And that's what I think happened. I think my OCD brain, when I was trying to process why this person left my life abruptly and I was hurt by it, my OCD brain honed in on that and was like, okay, you're trying really hard to forget this person. Also try to process why they left your life. Well, I'm going to let you not forget them, and I'm going to make sure they're in your brain all day long, 24/7, and in your dreams while you sleep. And so I do not believe there was a soul tie attachment with him. I think it was my OCD brain, and just this person came into my life at a very vulnerable time. I was choosing to not grieve the huge loss that I experienced with losing my family, and to choosing to go no contact, and 100% chasing a father wound in the form of this person. So I absolutely believe that. And I've met and I've talked to other people, or I have friendships with other people who have gone through the same thing, and then they had to process and get to the other side and realize that that's all it was for them as well. They were just chasing a parent wound in the form of another person for whatever reason. And it was usually because they were going through an extremely vulnerable, tough time in their life where they felt extremely lonely and needing connection and needing to feel loved and needing to feel like they're a part of a family unit or something. And then this person that reminded them of their mom or their dad enters their life and then abruptly exits, and they don't handle it well at all. And I really do believe that that is what chasing a parent wound in the form of a person will do to you, But anyways, I hope this all made sense, and maybe it resonated with some of you, maybe it didn't. I'm just glad that I was able to get it out. This episode, like I said, I bounced back and forth on whether I even wanted to share it. But, and I know I said that the last episode was closing the chapter on this, but I would say that this episode is actually closing the chapter on this, because no soul tie. It was simply a father wound, and me choosing to not face or grieve the loss of the people that I chose to remove for the greater good of my mental health and peace. So this, for me, is truly closing the book, truly closing the chapter on the past 2 years. I don't know what's next. I don't know what's in store next. I don't know when my next episode will be, but I hope you just continue to hang in with me. Keep rocking with me. Keep showing up. If this resonated, wonderful. I don't want to promise anything at this point, but I do hope that hopefully within the next couple months I can get some more guest interviews and just continue season 2. So, but like I said, at this time everything's kind of just up in the air, and I kind of do this when it moves me and I feel like it. I don't have a set schedule, But I appreciate the support. I appreciate those who send me the nice messages. I'm also taking a break from social media. I may never get back on social media. Who knows? I also feel a lot better not being on social media. But I do appreciate people that still reach out and ask about the podcast, tell me how much it's meant to them, resonated. Like, I love y'all. I appreciate the support. But I'm no longer doing this for notoriety. I'm doing it for me and the people that it helps. But I love y'all, and I hope you have a good holiday season, and see you when I see you. Bye.